Now we'll take a look at creating services. Services are similar in functionality to factory. Factory allows us to return our own custom object, whereas in service, the function which we assign to the service is the object. So that's the major difference between a service and a factory. Now, in order to create a service, we make use of module.service function. Services similar to factory can also be injected into other components. For example, controllers. We'll be seeing this in our code demo. And as factories, services can have dependencies too. Now let's compare a service and a factory side by side. So in our earlier code demo, we had this course factory. You'll notice that we were first of all creating course factory over here. The same is with the service as well. So we are creating a course service over here. Then we had a courses collection, that is courses array. Similarly, we will have the courses array as well over here in services. Now, the difference comes from this point. You will see that we created a custom object called factory, and initially it was an empty literal. And then with that object, we created a function called getCourses, and then this getCourses was returning the courses collection. And finally, we returned the factory object. But over here in services, you will notice that the function which we are assigning to course services is actually the object. We are not returning anything or defining any custom object over here. The second difference you will notice in this code is, rather than creating a custom object, we are just making use of this variable or this keyword actually, and then we're calling the getCourses method and then returning the courses over here. Now, why we are calling this is because whenever this function will be returned, it will be instantiated as a singleton object, and that is the reason why this keyword is used, because this itself is the object, and using that object we'll be able to access the getCourses method. So that's the primary difference between a service and a factory. Obviously, we initialize them using module.service and module.factory separately. So that's another difference. But the primary one is this. Also notice that we are not returning anything from a service, whereas in factory we were returning the custom object itself, return factory. But here we are not returning anything because the function which we are assigning to course service itself is the object returned. So in the next code demo, we'll see how we can convert our factory to a service.